I don't think I finished a single sentence, and I said like 5 different things there. Hello, friends and foes. Welcome back to my channel. It has been a while. Let's be honest with each other. I haven't filmed since August, and it is January 2024. I choose to participate in this channel when my heart desires. And when I am working 2 jobs and doing school full time and am insanely neurodivergent, my heart does not desire very often, just in general. So today I'm just gonna ease into the new year instead of doing a whole like favorites video for 2023, because I talked about most of my 2023 favorites at least once or thrice. I'm just gonna give you guys a quick update of what the new additions to my favorite shelf are. I look very different also. I didn't address that. I cut my hair. I've done a whole semester of school. I quit a job. I have been just living, laughing, and loving. I just wasn't reading that much, and I didn't even meet my Goodreads goal. Sad days. Sometimes life throws you tomatoes rotten in the face. That being said, I didn't pick up a lot of new favorites since the last time I filmed. The first book I'm going to talk about pretty briefly because I didn't actually read it in 2023. I read it in 2022, but I had loaned it to my sister to read and I didn't get it back until recently, about when I filmed my last video. So it wasn't living on my favorite shelf, but it did have like a little slivery section of space where I was like, that is where she's gonna go. And that book is Little Weirds by Jenny Slate. This book I picked up because I'd seen a couple of different recommendations for it. I really liked Jenny Slate in Parks and Rec, and I thought that she was just really, really funny. And when I had read excerpts from this book before, I was just so blown away by it. And I was like, I need to read it. I just need to read it. And it really, truly was so delightful. It was kind of my first foray into non-novelistic books. And I was really, really pleased by it. I really liked that I was able to kind of pick it up and put it down and read it over a longer period of time, because it's kind of like a prosy collection of stories and anecdotes and ideas. It's hard to kind of categorize this in my mind. It sits in like the arts and letters category at chapters, but it's not really essays, but it's not really just general prose. It's not a memoir, but it's just good. And some of them were just really poignant and struck a chord with me. And so for that reason, I had such a great time reading the entire thing. And the last few ones really got me. I had been reading outside while I was like sunbathing, and I had like slathered sunscreen all over myself because I'm incredibly pale and burn super easily. And I was crying because I was really emotionally affected by some of the last chapters in this. But I was also like having the sunscreen melt into my eyes, and then I was crying because the like sunscreen was getting in my eyes, and then I was wiping it away, but it was just kind of smearing it in, and then I like was just I was a wreck. But yeah, this book was really refreshing and came to me at a good time. Yeah, if you like more prosy, poetic writing, but you don't want to jump into reading a poetry collection, this is an interesting place to go, because you kind of get the same experience of being able to pick it up and put it down and enjoy little tidbits of really enjoyable, provocative text without actually having to parse poetry. The next one is a graphic novel, and it is This One Summer by Mariko and Gillian Tamaki. This is the second graphic novel that I've read from them. I did read Skim for a graphic novel class that I took last semester, and I had enjoyed it, but both of them are more slice of lifey coming of age stories where you're walking alongside the characters instead of engaging with a larger plot. But this one, for some reason, I think something about the art style, the details, the materials used, and even just the color choice, instead of it being black and white and more of this like a navy-ish color, more indigo color, I guess. I think it really felt more nostalgic, which matched the themes of the text. With Skim, there is a larger storyline that you get to follow, but it's a little bit more subdued. This one, I think, like, the hints are not very subtle, and so you kind of get to pick up on these things along the way, where the narrator, our main character, feels a little bit more in the loop of what's going on as well, which I found really enjoyable. The last recent edition is the last book that I've read, and it is The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green. I have been wanting to pick this one up for a little while, picked it up over the holidays, and thought that it would be kind of a good point to start the year off with, and for good reason. It ended up being, I read like the first few, a handful of essays the night that I picked it up. I had not even gotten 20 pages into it and I'd cried like 3 times. There's something about the way that he writes, and he talks about it in, I think, the preface, but some of the reviews are a little bit more clinical and some of them are a bit more anecdotal and emotional, and there's something in the way that he writes those anecdotal, emotional reviews that really connected with me and what I like to read in a nonfiction, and some points were just really beautiful and striking, even when the topic was not something that you would assume to have that effect. I think this is a really great nonfiction to pick up if you're just starting to foray into the genre, because it's so vast. I think it's a good litmus test for finding out more about what you like to read in a nonfiction and pointing you in the right direction, while also offering a lot as its own singular thing, because it blends the more factual, clinical, informational nonfiction with an emotional, anecdotal, memoir style nonfiction. So you can kind of pick and choose and see what you like and what you don't like. For me, I do tend to lean towards the personable nonfiction. I like to read more memoir style books and stories about people and what they're going through. So that's what I kind of picked up on this one. But if you read this and you enjoy it, but you think you tend to like the more clear-cut information, then you can kind of go from there and see what other things you might like. So I would definitely recommend this to anybody, though. I think there's so many things to pick up on and pick and choose and take from this book. Especially after the pandemic, there's a lot of references to the pandemic within it, just because it was written in 2021, I believe. But they're not crass or distasteful. They're just, it's a fact of living, but he's not trying to intellectualize the experience and what's going on, but he is making a grander argument about humanity and the Anthropocene, as it is titled, while making comments on the time period in which he is writing it. And I think that it's one that will age particularly well. It's a lot more personable and human. And by human, I mean vulnerable. So yeah, those are the 3 most recent editions. I would definitely recommend these to most people. I think if you maybe have seen one of these titles and thought about maybe picking it up eventually, I would definitely urge you to do it, because there are some really great books. And yeah, I hope that you're doing well, and I hope that you have a great rest of your week, rest of your day, rest of your night, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!